I'm not going very far.
It's too uncomfortable.
I'm in a hurry. Sometimes I just forget.
There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. You're not only putting yourself at risk of injury or death, it could also cost you lots of money. Cops are writing tickets, so why take the risk? Do the smart thing and start buckling up every trip, day or night. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Michael Finney. This is Consumer Talk on KGO. On our live line from Cowperg is Emily Rush. She's here to talk about a new report getting off the hook of a predatory tow in California. Emily, I appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me back, Michael.
I got to tell you, when I was reading over your paperwork with this, the line that jumped out at me was when your car is towed against your consent, your life comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
Boy, is that true. I have people on the phone to me when we were still working in the station. I would receive occasionally calls, people just crying. They didn't know what to do. The rules were messed up. They may have got to where their car was and they wanted hundreds of dollars for them to get their car back. This is a mess.
Yeah, it can be really devastating for consumers to have their car towed, to be in the moment, obviously without transportation, to be so frustrated trying to figure out where your car actually is. And then once you find it, to then be socked with usually hundreds of dollars in fees, even if you discover it fairly quickly.
I believe in the Bay Area, depending on where you are, you can get nailed for a storage fee just because they took it to the storage facility. Mm-hmm. Not that it was actually stored. You could be there 5 minutes later and they don't care.
I was just looking up the fees in San Francisco. And in San Francisco, for a first-time tow, there's an administrative fee of $268. Oh. And then there's a tow fee on top of the administrative fee, which is $256. There's some discounts on that for low-income San Franciscans. And then there's storage fees on top of that. I think everyone has a tow story. Mine is from when I was in my 20s and living in San Francisco. And my husband and I didn't realize that there was a rule that even on streets without street sweeping, right. There's the rule that says you can't park somewhere for more than 72 hours. And so we had left our car, went on vacation for 2 weeks, and came back to a towed car. I think it was $900 that we ended up having to pay to get our car out of impoundment, which is just it's just devastating for a couple in their 20s who's still really scrambling, to save money.
So your car towing costs more than your vacation.
Yes. Yes.
Unbelievable.
And I laugh because we were able to pay that off. We did end up getting our car back. It was devastating to our short-term finances. We're okay. The stories that just make me want to cry are the stories where people have gotten their car stolen and then, their car ends up getting towed somewhere. And, so here you are, your car's been stolen. It's no fault of your own. And you still have to pay fees to get your car back if it's been impounded.
Now, how can that be that I'm responsible for how a thief parked my car? That just seems more unfair than anything I can imagine.
Yeah, it's hitting someone when they're down.
Yeah, and let's talk about, it's not only hitting somebody when they're down, when you're talking about a car being stolen, but it's like often you feel like these drivers of the tow trucks, not all of them, I'm not saying everybody, but some of them are like sharks. You sit there and watch them wait. And we've done stories in the past, it was kind of a long time past and out in the suburbs, where they were towing from private lots and the people didn't even want them towing from the private lot.
Right.
I mean, they don't even need permission from the owner, right? I mean, this is bizarre.
Right. It
So where are progressive politicians here? I mean, why is this going on?
Yeah. So, the good news is that California, despite our griping just now, we actually have some of, more protections for consumers than many other states.
Right.
So towing companies are required to publicly display their rates. They're required to notify a vehicle owner. They're required to have signs. There's supposed to be designated hours where an owner can retrieve their vehicle. But we don't actually have a maximum towing rate in California, unlike some other states. We don't. We also have pretty the maximum storage rates. Storage rates can apply for the first 15 days and can actually keep going 3 days after written notice is consent. So, people here in California can really get socked with high storage fees as well. And just as you were talking about, here in California, towing companies can patrol and scan private property for illegally parked cars, even when someone hasn't actually notified them or called them about a problem.
Okay, so what's the solution to this? The one thing that's so great about CalPERG is you guys come up with a problem, but you also come up with a solution. So what's the solution? What do we do to stop? I mean, this is really wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly motivated after having this report to go to Sacramento and advocate for some of these protections that are not in place today here in California. And in the meantime, there's a lot that cities can do, city councils, the Board of Supervisors in San Francisco, to make sure at the local level that, the consumer protections are as strong as possible. And on our website, we have the 14 recommended policies that every city and state should adopt. And I encourage any elected official listening to look at that.
As a San Francisco resident, I'm really torn on this because I don't want people ripped off. I don't want people, set up. It's unfair if your car is stolen and they won't give it back to you. And if you don't have the money to pay for it, they just keep racking up the charges. That's horrible. And then on the other hand, I can't tell you how many times I've come home and my driveway is blocked.
Right.
And you're like, what are you doing? It's a driveway. I mean, you knew somebody would use that, maybe. So, I mean, it's if you charged them $20, it'd be cheaper than the meter. They'd keep parking in front of the driveway.
Right. I mean, right. You need to have rules in place, but they do need to be fair and commensurate with the crime, right? So when when someone either through no fault of their own or from a truly silly blunder, to be then charged hundreds of dollars, is, I just think it can be really devastating for an individual's finances. It can lead to losing a car, which can lead to then trouble getting to work and, a compounding life's problems.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Emily Rush, everybody, from CalPERG with their new report, Getting Off the Hook of a Predatory Tow in California. We're going to post this along with this show's website because it's just so important. Emily, I really appreciate your time today and appreciate you working on this. This is a tough one. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael.
Let's bring John Rothman into the conversation. His show is coming up in just a couple of moments. Hey, John, ever had your car towed?
I'm going to tell you, it's a terrible story. The answer is yes.
Oh.
I did regular business at a bank, and I parked there, and my wife was pregnant. That's the only reason I did it. And, she was maybe 2 months from delivery, and she was very heavy and very uncomfortable. And lo and behold, they towed my car. I couldn't believe it. Now, because they all knew me at the bank, they arranged for me to get the car back, and I had to pay, but much less than the amount of money that everybody thought. But, what can you do about towing cars? The day will come, Michael, and here's your consumer advocate. I'm counting on you. When all the cars are driven with no drivers and they park in a zone, who's going to pay the ticket?
There you go. It's like, hey, it's not my ticket. It's Robbie the robot sticker. Very interesting.
So, anyway, but yes, indeed. And have you ever been towed?
I don't think I have. I've been trying to think about it. I haven't, but I've helped so many people get their cars back. This is just devastating. It's wrong, and I'm really glad CalPERC is working on it.
Well, and I'll tell you, it's very expensive. And if the previous caller, as she was saying, she and her husband, newlyweds, didn't have a lot of money. I mean, it can be really devastating. But fortunately, we have a consumer advocate. So any of you with any problems, you just call Michael Finney. Okay, you want to know what I'm doing?
What are you talking about?
I'm trying to decide. Okay, we have technology. And as you know, a Chinese rocket is about to descend 18,000 miles per hour. It's going to hit. I'm counting on the fact that it's not hitting here because I plan on talking with you again next week. But there is another aspect of technology, and that was the cyber attack, which forced a shutdown of a top U.S. pipeline. And when you talk about technology and how it works, I mean, this is really something. And I spent a lot of time last week talking about Afghanistan. You heard about the bombing outside the girls' school, at least 30 girls killed. Sad. It's just the beginning, Michael, and it's a real moral paradox. And then misinformation fuels COVID-19. Maybe we should do a program just on conspiracy theories. And believe me, I could go on and on. But big news. At 7:30, I will be joined by the one and only Jan Wall. And we are going to talk Mother's Day movies. Oh, okay. Not just the good mothers, but the evil mothers. So we're gonna try to cover it all. I'm not, ladies and gentlemen, I concede I'm not nearly as interesting or provocative as Michael Finney, but I will do my best. And may I say, sir, wish your wife a very happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. She deserves it. So do all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day. Hang around before Mother's Day and listen to John Rothman. Only he would decide to do evil mothers on the eve of Mother's Day.
All right.
So hang around, everybody. I'm Michael Finney. This is KGO. Goodbye.